Hey everyone, it's Classic DM. In this next episode of Learning Pathfinder 2E, we're going to talk about shields and shield tactics. Let's just go ahead and jump right into things here. There's going to be lots of situations in combat when you're running things to your players, or if you're a player yourself, where you need to truly understand what your class can do with the shield. Now, when you first hear the word shield, you're thinking of, I've got a buckler, or I've got a kite shield, or I've got a tower shield. Well, there's also a shield spell, and there's even some feats used in some of the other classes I've discovered that will allow them to pick up some cantrips. So let's kind of compile that information together. I'm going to share with you what I figured out so far. Now, if you've got something else to add to this, please do it, because I'm trying to kind of develop a community where people are sharing information. The more information we share with each other, the more we're going to learn how to play, and our games are going to be better, and the players are going to have more fun, and everything's going to be a lot more fun for everybody, because the game has a lot of cool complexity to it, but it's not actually that complex. It's just the information's kind of all over the place. So that's not necessarily a criticism. That's why I think for me, when I'm teaching this to myself, I got to take notes. So I'm going to share my notes with you, right? So right off the bat, shield block and tactics. We'll call that our topic here, right? No, that's not Sean Connery. So as always, our source is the Pathfinder Core Rulebook, 2nd edition. We got a couple of images that we've taken from Cool Mini or Not. I want to give credit out to the people who did these beautiful miniature paints. This Crusader on the right was done by a username of Part Sap. Can't look up his profile, can't tell what nation he's from, but it's just absolutely magnificent. So when I was looking for a kite shield for an image to go with this note-taking thing, I found this Sean Connery-looking mini. I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Another one you'll see later on in this little set of notes is a username Tattoo who makes this Roman Legionnaire and things like that. So I try to give credit for people when they do stuff, right? So what's the goal of the video? Well, like the other video I did on reverse engineering Valeros, we want to glean out the rules and consolidate with references. So since it's a video, you can scrub through this stuff, and you can kind of look at the video snapshot and see, oh, this is the part where they're talking about the shield spell, the cantrip. So how does that work? Now, my other goal is to share player interpretations of the from the Pathfinder 2E fan group on Facebook. This is a group I'm a member of. I really like the culture that's happening in this group. A lot of very smart players are in there, and sometimes they're having some debates, but that's okay, because people are trying to figure out the rules and how they work together. But at the same time, everyone's very civil and very intelligent, very mature. And for someone like me who really wants to know, how does it really work? And you don't want to have to deal with people being antagonistic or rude and things like that. So it's a really cool Facebook group. I encourage you to come and drop by if you can. I've also tried to equip people, as everything I do, I'm trying to give people page numbers. I'm a citation kind of guy, so that always comes in handy. I want to prompt you to think about shields in your game, both traditional and magical, because when I started reading the rules myself, I was like, okay, shields, great, kite shields, tower shields, bucklers, I got it. Boom. But then I started reading some other details like, oh, interesting, this is very different. This is going to make a big difference in gameplay. So that's what we're going to be sharing, that kind of stuff here. So let's just go right ahead here. Let's define what the shield is, and this whole raise shield action. It's in Chapter 6, page 277. I'm just going to quote here. These things in quotations are taken from the CRB. A shield can increase your character's defense beyond the protection of their armor provides. That's pretty obvious. Your character must be wielding a shield in one hand to make use of it, and it grants its bonus to AC, armor class, only if they use an action called raise a shield. So I put that in bold here. Now in the CRB, you'll find this when they're referencing their own feats and things like that, they will capitalize the first letter, which is very useful. That action grants the shield's bonus to AC. So you got a shield that gives you +2 to AC, and you'll see this later on, like a tower shield gives you +4 as a circumstance bonus until their next turn starts. So if you're in a melee situation, like over here in the little cruddy little camera, let's look at the close-up view. I'll try not to touch them, right? So there's an orc here attacking this person here with a shield up. Maybe it's not their turn. Maybe the druid's turn, or this sorcerer's turn's happening, or another fighter's turn's happening. But at the end of there, they took maybe a swing or two. Maybe they moved, and then they came next to this orc trying to stop it from whacking on the druid. When they hit the orc from behind, flanking him, maybe the orc hasn't turned around yet, and they realize they're like 5th in the initiative list. And more bugbears and junk start showing up. And it's like, oh man, I better raise my shield here, because if these guys turn around, you're anticipating this person getting close to you. You know that someone else can turn around and jack you. So, raising a shield is one of the very last things you can do. Is going to help protect you by giving you this AC bonus. So that's the circumstantial bonus. Now, when your turn comes back around, if I understand it correctly, that goes away. So someone correct me on that. That's the one thing I keep reading into it, until your next turn starts. So once your next turn starts, you got the shield in your hand, but you're just doing a series of attacks. You're not doing any attacking and blocking simultaneously. So unlike in AD&D, with a 1 minute melee, 1 minute round, divided up into 10 6-second segments, it is implied that there's blocks and parries and dodges happening. but this Pathfinder second edition is much more snappier, much faster, so you're actually just offensively striking when it's your turn, or you're doing any other of the actions that you can possibly do. Okay, I'll try not to be as long-winded with the other comments, but I just want to get that up the bat, explain really clear. So raise a shield is an action most commonly used with shields. That's pretty obvious. You must have it in one hand, blah, blah, blah. So the AC bonus is granted you from a table. Here's a table right here. You can see right away that bucklers, wooden shields, steel shields, which are great, and tower shields, they grant an AC bonus. And some caveats for the tower shield because such a large and bulky shield. The numbers don't seem very high at first. And you're like, wow, a wooden shield only +2, gee whiz. And if you play 3.5 or 3.0, you remember the numbers are different. Well, the numbers in the whole game are very different. If you play World of Warcraft, you see things squish and then expand and squish and expand. In this situation, things seem much more compressed, and I like that because it's not compressed down to 20. I mean, you get some things in a game that have like 45 armor class, okay? And then I think the maximum bonus someone can have in a game right now is 52. Someone put together some kind of champion bill of 52 total. So, you know, it's going to be, it's a little bit, seems to me, it's like it's going to be a little bit more compressed. So having +2 to your AC is a lot, especially at lower levels. And so this circumstance bonus, the very last thing you can do, or you can do it earlier in the round if you want to forget the rest of your moves, your actions. You get this 3-action economy, of course, is to raise your shield. So when you do that, you get the AC bonus. When you aren't doing that, you don't get the AC bonus. You might remember this when we're talking about Valeris. Let's just take a look on the little webcams over here, right? Remember down at Valeris, down here at the bottom, with the shield raise AC 20, without it, it's 18. So that is kind of different. Everyone's probably very used to being like, yeah, I've got a cloak with a deflection bonus on it, and I've got a pair of boots, a deflection bonus on it, and I've got a shield, and it's this kind of shield, and it's +3 shield, and you have these numbers up, my AC is 49. So it looks to me, correct me if I'm wrong, that's no longer the case. Now, if the item is giving you an armor class bonus, I believe the way AC is calculated does include the item bonuses. But just having the shield, is it going to give you the AC bonus when it's just in your hand? So you need to actually do something with it to actively defend. So you can't just have it in your hand and go, yeah, I'm hanging it in my hand. It's like having a backpack hung over your shoulder. You got it in your left hand, you're just hanging on to it. You're not actively defending with it. So the game makes you do an actual action, a tactical melee combat action to take advantage of the shield. I love that. I think it's really cool. It's going to be very scary because people are going to get killed really quickly too. They don't remember to do these kinds of things. All right, so let's talk about this. Bucklers don't really take up your whole hand. A buckler, you've probably seen a picture of it. They're a tiny little small shield about the size of a pizza pan. Kind of hangs more on your forearm. You're not gripping it with your hand and having it go through a double strap system. You can hold a spear in your hand. You'll see one of the little concept art pieces that was taken from Pathfinder 1 later on this presentation shows you what a buckler looks like. You'll even see some comments made by some of the really smart players in the Facebook group that say, like, listen, bucklers aren't really designed for protecting yourself as a shield. So you lose the benefits of raise a shield if that hand's no longer free. So say you have the buckler in your hand and you're chugging a potion with your left hand, and you got your right hand to get your scimitar in your hand, like this druid you see up here in the front. You know, she starts to do things with her left hand, like I'm going to pull a dagger out. I want to, you know, whatever she's doing, I'm going to pull out a piece of mistletoe and start casting a spell. You know, it depends. So she may need to put her sword away, pull out the mistletoe with her left hand if she had a buckler. In this case, this druid really has a wooden shield. Let's just pretend it's a buckler for the sake of conversation. You know, she's tying up the hand, so she can't then do raise a shield action when she got junk in her hand. So that's a really interesting thing about bucklers. It gives you flexibility, doesn't really work too well for an AC bonus, only +1. Okay, let's move on a little bit further here. And of course, this table here, this is on page oh gosh, where is this chart at? Did I not knock the chart down? 277. So that's where all these numbers are. And you'll see over here, there's like some speed penalties and bulks and hardness and HP BT. Now, this is not British Telecom. This is the hit point level of that type of a shield, almost like the physicality of the shield, like the item hit points. And there's this like BT number. You're like, wow, what's that mean? It's not British Telecom. Let's just read about that a little bit further. I did want to mention the tower shield thing here at the end here. When you have the tower shield raised, you can use a take cover action, which you can read up on yourself. It increases your circumstance bonus to AC by +4. It'll last until it's no longer raised. So there's some details about the tower shield's the best, but also has the worst penalties for you. It's very bulky by a factor of 4. It's got great hardness and it's got great hit points. So let's move on to the hardness and BT British Telecom part, right? So whenever the shield takes damage, this is where it gets tricky. The amount of damage it takes is reduced by that amount. Right? So I got the shield chart right in there below. So what is that? Let's just take a steel shield. So look at the chart and tell me, what's the hardness number? Well, it's 5, right? So if someone comes up and takes a whack at you and hits you for 4, you don't take any damage if you are actively holding the shield up. Okay, that's the key part. So, like I said in the very beginning, we had this, where was this guy? Did I move him? Yeah, say we got this guy right here, right? He decides that the last action he's going to do is raise his shield because he's worried that this bugbear is going to come whipping in when his turn, because his turn is kind of in a bad spot, that maybe the other enemies in the area are getting a chance to move, and he knows that they're going to get a chance to attack before he does. So he raises that shield because not only is it just a little bonus to AC, but it's damage mitigation. Now, there's a price for that, and some people like it and some people don't. You need to kind of be smart about this. And you get to choose a lot of feats associated with this if you're one of the core melee classes that are shield oriented, such as the champion or the fighter. So let's look at this in a little bit more detail, right? The numbers particularly relevant for shields because of the shield block feat, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment here. And the hit point BT, not British Telecom, is a broken threshold. This measures how much damage a shield can take before it's destroyed. When it's destroyed, it's going to be completely unusable, non-repairable. It can be in a broken threshold. Let's just use our steel shield for example here. The broken threshold is half of it. So the number is half. If you can remember half, if you can remember 10 for your starting ability scores, and remember 5 for how many different skill level ranks there are for a proficiency bonus, 5s, 10s, halves, very easy. There's no 13s or 17s or primes in here, okay? So if you look at this very carefully, the hit points of the steel shield is 20. So if it takes 21 points of damage in its entirety, it's going to be destroyed, just smashed into pieces, not usable anymore, just destroyed. But it's broken, okay? It's not usable as a shield anymore for any of the actions that require you to use a shield, but you can still fix it. You can fix it during an exploration mode or downtime in between combat. You can have a big battle in this big cave, secure everything. Someone's wounded, go back a room, secure a little camp, rest for 10 minutes, do some medicine, whatever you're going to do. Spend those 10 to 15 minutes doing that. You can take a repair skill. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. I don't think people are running around trying to carry a cart with a donkey with an extra 40 shields in it. That seems kind of ridiculous, very Monty Python of you. So let's just move on a little bit. So I'll make sure you understood that right off the bat. And there's additional examples in this video later on where people have given a specific situation, and then we're going to save that for the end, okay? So we start talking about it's broken, it's unusable, and you see this number, your first reaction usually is like 20 hit points. So what happens when I'm fighting some huge bugbear and he nails me for 33? Like if you watch these Knights of Everflame entertainment / RPG stuff they film with Jason and a bunch of young people playing, the one omelet girl's getting blown up, right? She's being completely blown up and freaking out, and everyone's getting damaged really, really badly in like their first little encounter against this earth elemental that's summoned by these people they signed up with in a little cart, right? So we see these numbers right off the bat, and those characters are probably around level 5. You're like, wow, that doesn't seem very good. Well, what if you're level 20? You're like level 20 with a steel shield. It's not going to have you're not going to get a plus 40 shield. So when you see the numbers in your mind, your old school sensibilities start jumping off the page. You start going like, that's going to suck. That's not going to be useful. It's a mitigation number. So it's not it's not damage resistance. It's a mitigation number. So if the shield gets damaged, it's going to be unusable anymore. Let's go down to the item damage section here, right? So an item can be broken or destroyed if it takes enough damage. We just said that, right? Pretty straightforward. Hey, check this out. Don't you love this new meta system they have in Word documents? A picture containing a person. Description automatically generated. So be sure you write picture of mom in there, or a picture of Crusader Mini from Cool Mini or not next time, right? An item can be broken or destroyed if it takes enough damage. Every item has a hardness value. We saw that in the previous chart, right? A hardness value, right? So the hardness value is the mitigating number that we talked about a moment ago. Remember that? Whenever shield takes damage, the amount of damage is reduced by this amount. That's the hardness value. So when I was talking about my example with being hit with a steel shield and someone did 4 points of damage, I didn't take any damage, all right? I didn't take any damage at all, but someone could have hit me for 15 and the shield would have taken 5, right? Mitigated 5 of it. I would have taken the extra 10, but it didn't go over the broken threshold. So if I got hit for 20, so 5 of that damage will be mitigated by the shield, like partially deflected. And there's another 15 damage I'm going to take, and it does go over the broken threshold. My shield's ruined. It's messed up, but it's not completely destroyed. So you need to think about that. So think of it as like shields on the Enterprise, right? So they can mitigate some damage. It's like damage resistance from in 3.5. It's almost like a little damage resistance number. Anyway, so it's good for people to mitigate how many hits you're going to have. When someone runs up to you and goes 1, 2, 3 and starts nailing you hits, and 3 enemies hit you 3 times in a row, all those little numbers are going to add up, and that's where the mitigation is going to really stack you. Like, I got hit by 5 different guys, and I mitigated 5 damage from 5 guys, 25 health. It did not happen to me at all. A picture containing a person. Don't you love it? Normally, an item takes damage, the creature's directly attacking it. So it's not like the creature says, I'm going to attack your shield. And if you're not holding the shield up, you're not doing a raise shields Captain Kirk action, right? The shield's not going to get damaged. Like, you see the shield in the back, it's got a couple of slash marks on the back of this mini. It's got 4 nasty slashes. A wooden shield, it's got a canvas and all kinds of stuff on it, metal around the edges. So if I actively running around with a shield in my back, sure, it's not going to take damage. If I'm running around with a shield in my hand and using a longsword, like, for example, let's look down here at this little mini over here, right? Here's the bugbear. Let's get him out of the way. So this dude here, this guy here, and this guy here. Look at these 2 stances of these 2 miniatures. In fact, let's put them a little closer so you can see them a little better. Right? Not that they're cool, and I haven't painted these things. These things are ancient. I need to paint them one day. I suck at painting these things. So who to you looks like they're actively raising their shield? Was this guy actively raising his shield? Yeah, I would say he is. He's in a ready stance. He's got. Let's take a look at him. Let's move the other guys out of the way. Right? This character is actively holding up his shield, right, towards an enemy. His weapon is cocked and ready. His knees are bent. His cloak is flowing dramatically in like a Vidal Sassoon freaking advertisement. This guy is ready for action. He is not. It would almost be cool to have a miniature for your character that's showing your raised shield position, and then have another one of your same miniature like doing an attack. I think that'd be awesome, because a lot of the WizKids ones, they do that. They come with a packet with 2. It's the same character doing 2 different poses. So you can say, well, I raised my shield, and you could take a glance at the board and say, oh, that's right, you got your shield raised. Because then when it's your turn, you got that shield in your hand, you're like, I'm going to whale on that dude, right? So even this is actually, in fact, I think this is what this pack is from. I got these like a year and a half ago. So look at the difference between the posture and this one and this one. So this one's not, he's got the shield kind of sort of in front of him, but you can tell he's just like using it for weight transfer and hip rotation. He's doing this overhead swing with a longsword. So those are things to think about. It'd be very cool to me to have tons of miniatures and be able to do that. All right, let's get back on task here, right? So we're talking about the item damage. So if something is attacking you, it's not targeting your shield. But if you raise your shield as part of the raise shield action, then the shield's going to take damage. And that's where the broken threshold and all that stuff comes into play. So you can only repair stuff above its broken threshold. So anything that automatically makes an item broken immediately reduces its hit points to its broken. So that's kind of tricky. There's rules about this stuff too. It's on page where we got the notation 277. So 277 has all this information about the item damage. It's a couple pages before the shield page that tells you all about this kind of stuff and how does it work, right? So you need to think about this and read about it. Now, a destroyed item can't be repaired, but if it's broken, you can repair it. So that's the main thing to think about when it comes to the shield. So let's go on to about this broken condition, right? We've got a crappy sketch that I sketched over on top of a Warlord Games book for Hail Caesar. So broken condition. It's a condition, right? Remember all the condition cards? They're way over there. I'm not going to pull them out. You know, which are almost like these debuffs and poisoned and paralyzed and feared and knocked prone and all this kind of business. So it's a condition, right? It's probably in the back of the book in the appendix. A condition affects an object. Broken is one. The object is broken when damage has reduced its hit points below its broken threshold. Let's just go back up real quick. Remember our example with our steel shield, right? Wasn't the broken, that was a hardness value of 5. Let's see if we can highlight this for you. You can't because it's on top of it, it's an image. The hit points is 20, the threshold is 10. So remember the number 10, okay? An object is broken when the damage has reduced its hit points below its broken threshold. So in the example I said before, where the shield took 15, it mitigated 5, and then it took 15 additional damage, that would have destroyed it. But if it took 15 and took an additional 11, it'd probably be wiped out. I'm pretty sure that's right. Correct me if I'm wrong. But if armor's broken, because we're talking about in general, someone who was asking like, hey, did your armor get messed up too? Broken armor still grants an item bonus to AC and imparts a status ability to the armor class depending on its category. So different types of armor have different degrees of brokenness. You know, you have more of a penalty for heavy armor being broken because pieces are dangling and hanging off and rivets are loose and leather straps and padding sticking out the side. Medium armor, which is like scale mail and chain and banded mail and things like that, that pieces are broken and pieces are falling loose. And we have light armor on, or like hide and leather. I mean, there's some tears in it and some rips in it and the pieces flapping, hanging down. If you get hit, it'll still kind of protect you, so that makes sense. Let's go down here. Wow, what an awesome sketch. You want to take a look at that? Isn't it great? All right, great. Let's see what does it say it is? A picture containing text in a book. Yeah, sure it is. It's a tower shield, dude. For example, broken armor still improves its dex modifier, cap, check penalty, and so forth. So if you have armor on and it gets broken for some reason, now in combat, I don't see how this is going to happen unless some kind of situation arises where something hits you. I don't think I'll be running around saying, well, your pauldron's broken, but your boots are okay. I don't see that happening. Someone can fill me in on that and share the information. I think it would really bog things down if it started doing like that. That's something in MMO that's just a time sink for spending up gold coins, repairing gear. Even Neverwinter has that when you take when you get wounded and you get like a wound. I forgot what it's called. So I don't think that's going to happen. I just think it's a situation that with you're playing the game, if you do something, maybe fall down or you fall down a pit, maybe something gets broken or damaged, and that would happen if your armor's broken. I don't think you'd be tracking a you don't be tacking, using tick marks on your character sheet saying, okay, my left Solaret's only taken 7 damage, I've got another 27 to go. So I wouldn't worry about that kind of stuff. Let's move on to the next subject. Shield block, we heard me mention that a few times. We did the examples here with these miniatures, right? So let's put the shield block guy up here and get the 2 jokers out of the way. You're a superstar, right in the middle of the camera. So what is it? It's a level 1 feat that anyone who can equip a shield, okay? So you think to yourself, oh, that's no big deal. There's only a couple people that can equip shields. Oh, really? Well, you may want to read that really carefully. So it's a class feature. So if you're playing a champion, right, it's a class feature. So the champion, you gain the shield block general feat. So the classes we normally traditionally think of is going to be the champion. There's kind of a subset of the cleric called the Warpriest doctrine, the Druid, which usually means you can only use a wooden shield, and a fighter. So those are the people that we normally think of, like in our pictures, that can use shield block. Well, what is shield block? Well, I got a little picture of the feet up here, right? It's a reaction. So when you have your shield raised, that you snap your shield in place to ward off a blow. So you tell the party, you tell the GM, excuse me, that it's your turn's almost over. It's the last. You have one more action remaining in your turn. You just killed this orc. Your buddy just killed this orc over here, but you know that it's going to be a lot, and you see these 2 bugbears come whipping out of the darkness, right? And like, you know what? They're going to come get me next. They're either going to go for the Druid and try to whack her from behind and flank her, or they may come for me. I'm going to try to move to go over here and protect her and use some of my cool shield abilities, but for the time, and I can't move, and I'm out of actions, I got 1 action left, I'm going to raise my shield. So this guy might do a 1, 2, 3, 4 stride movement and something get in your face, and then do his second attack and third attack on you, and maybe in the big penalty, if one of them gets through, this is when you automatically will react and do the shield block, even though it's not your turn. So you've got the shield ready. You're in this ready stance. It's like actively defending and getting ready to parry if you're a sword fighter, or you're an MMA fighter. You're a boxer. You're trying to deflect blows aimed at your head, or blocking leg kicks. You're checking leg kicks. Excuse me. The shield block works like that. So you're not just, oh, it's not your turn. He just looks at your armor class. Boom, he nails you. You take a bunch of damage. So the shield block is a reaction. Now the champion and the fighter, they have tons and tons and tons of really cool shield-oriented offensive, defensive things you can do, which are really exciting and really fun. It gives a lot of life to shields. The shield is just not a damn wheelie bin lid you hold in your hand and hope it doesn't break on you. A lot of people are reading the rules and their first reaction is, oh my god, it's a pizza pan, it's useless, it's dumb, I don't like it. And so I think it's kind of cool because when you start thinking about it, the combat's going to be a lot more tactical. It's going to require you to really understand how you put your character together, what to do. Let's go through this more. Right. So the champion gets a shield block general feat as well. The cleric, you heard me mention it earlier, they have this doctrine called a Warpriest. It's on page 119. So here's what it is. Even among followers of the same deity, there are numerous doctrines and beliefs which sometimes vary wildly between clerics. At first level, you select a doctrine and gain the benefits of its first doctrine. The doctrine presented in this book are cloistered cleric and Warpriest. So obviously there's been more in the future, but each doctrine grants you initial benefits at first level. At 3rd, 7th, 11th, 15th, and 19th, you gain the benefits granted by your doctrine, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and final doctrines respectively. You're like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Now, the Warpriest, right, this is the next one, there's this area down here, look what they're going to get. In fact, we don't need to hide the whole thing. I've already done it in bold. They get shield block. So they're going to get the same general feat. They're not getting a lot of actives. They're not getting a lot of class feats. They're getting general, what's the proper term for it? Class features. So they're getting this innate class feature, which means they can say, hey, I'm in a little fight, right? I'm playing a cleric. Do we have a cleric? Here's a cleric. Let's get our cleric up here. Cleric, bugbear, dark, stinky cavern, smells like dead giant. So he can, at his last he could be a Warpriest. He could be using a flail or something, have a big cool shield, wear some chainmail, whatever he wants to do. And at the end of his turn, the bugbear was over here. He says, listen, I just helped kill this guy, or I'm trying to raise a doggo, or whatever I'm doing. My last action for my turn is to raise my shield. And then when the bugbear comes whipping in here and tries to hit the heavily armored cleric with high AC, he can deflect some of that damage. So that's great, but only if you're the Warpriest doctrine, not just a regular old cleric. There's two, the cloistered cleric and the Warpriest. I don't know much about the cloistered cleric yet, still learning about it. That excites me. I think that's really, really cool. Traditionally, in AD&D, the cleric has some of the best AC possible. They could be almost unkillable, and their spells are really nasty when you got higher level harm and heal. So let's talk about the Druid, right? Everyone knows that the Druid's going to have some kind of wooden shield. It's never really, they're not really a melee class. They have pets. They have all kinds of cool things they do. In AD&D, they were area effect entanglement machines. This picture on the left here is from Pathfinder, one of a Cavalier. I just thought it was an amazing picture, deserved being stuck in here, so look at text the whole time. So the Druid obviously gets the shield block general feat as well, right? Just like we did with the Warpriest. But they have this anathema, or however you pronounce it. I'm probably mispronouncing it. I've never used the word anathema in my entire life, and I've never seen it in my entire life, and I actually write novels and stuff, and I have a decent vocabulary. Even though I have a kind of a southern accent, I still have some kind of a decent vocabulary, and I never knew I know what anesthesia is, but I don't know what anathema is. So it just means that they avoid using, they vehemently dislike it. They can't stand it. So Druids don't like metal armor and metal shields. They have to use a wooden shield. That's what it means. So you get the shield block general feat, but as you can see earlier, right, let's just zip up here real quick, they're going to be kind of using the chumpy version of the shield. Hey, that makes sense. 12 hit points, 6 BT, and 3 hardness. But you're playing a Druid, you could probably be doing other things to protect yourself. But if you're up there in the front lines and you're healing and you happen to be near someone, touching someone to heal them, whatever you're trying to do, you're trying to cast one of the spells or get one of your cantrips off, you're going to be hit by people. And being able to defend yourself a little bit is pretty decent, right? And the fighter, obviously, we only need to go into the fighter. The fighter is going to be like a killing machine, just like the champion. They're going to get tons of interesting, exciting class feats that use a shield. So definitely check that out. So they gain the shield block general feat as well. So in summary, before you go any further, champion, cleric, warpriest only, druid, and fighter, they get the traditional shield block feat. It's a general feat. It's not it's like one in the general feat section of the book. You go to the feat chapter, there it is. So what about casters? This is something that surprised me, and I don't think it's a problem. I think it's very interesting. Chapter 7, you can look at spells on pages 368 and 368 to page 368. So the spell shield is a cantrip now. And a cantrip means you can just do it whenever you want. So we have an action, it's available, I'm going to do the cantrip. And they're going to roll to hit and do all kinds of stuff, which is something I haven't learned how to do yet. I've been watching the Knights of Everflame thing, which is really kind of cool. Usually I don't like that kind of stuff, but I'm actually getting more interested in it. I wish the players that were playing on it were more hardcore, evil, diabolical people, but they're doing a really good job. They're very much like watching actors play, which is cool. The thing I really enjoy watching is Jason, how he runs a combat. That to me is where I'm really picking up the subtle details. They're rolling to hit when they're casting some of their spells. Like one of the bard characters, I've forgotten the character name, was trying to do a telekinetic ability to sling rocks at this earth elemental, kind of like a projectile attack. So that's like using a spell that's slinging something at the enemy. Anyway, getting back on target here. Shield is a cantrip in the Arcane, Divine, and Occult schools of magic, you want to call it, but not in Primal. That means if you have a caster class that only gets Primal, you'll never be able to pick up the spell Shield. And you can even see here, Abjuration, Cantrip, Force, these are the traits of the spell, right? Here's another cool description for you. A screenshot of text. I love it. Next time I'll put something more interesting there. So if you're playing a Druid, remember you got a crappy shield, so you don't get access to that cantrip. You get access to different ones. Now here's something else that's very interesting. So you basically end up with the bard, the cleric, the rogue even. Okay, the rogue, yeah, there's a caveat to that. See the asterisk, we'll go over that right below the minor magic feat too. The sorcerer with draconic bloodline gets it for free. And let's go into the sorcerer, because the sorcerer is a very crazy class. This is a picture of one of the characters that one of the game designers on the team, I've forgotten the gentleman's name, I'm completely sorry. He was doing a character creation video. I'll have to memorize these guys' names so I can give them credit, because they did an awesome job. This is someone casting shield. He's got this like maul staff, wearing some armor. I think it's a really cool kind of Middle Eastern Ottoman Empire looking character. That's the shield spell. It actually is summoning a magical shield. You raise a magical shield of force. This counts as the raise a shield action, giving you +1 circumstance bonus to AC until the start of your next turn. It doesn't require a hand to use it. While the shield is in effect, you can use the shield block reaction, your magic shield. See the sidebar. The shield has a hardness of 5. That's okay, not awesome. After you use your shield block, the spell ends. You can't cast again for 10 minutes because it's a cantrip. So you're not going to go at the end of every one of your turns, I'm going to cast shield. So you got to kind of plan, like I'm kind of close here, and I'm going to do this cool, spell where I need to touch or project my hands out, prismatic spray or whatever else there is still in the game that gets you have to be close, a cone of cold or something. And you can heighten the spell by using it at higher levels. So as you're higher levels, you can cast level 1 chumpy cantrips as if you're a higher level, and that will raise the hardness of the shield. So as you get higher level, you can get a damage mitigation by using one of your actions to cast shield, but you need to do it at the right time because it's a 10-minute cooldown. 10 minutes. Each round is 6 seconds. It's like a segment in AD&D. So while that happens, guess what? You get the shield block. Now you don't get it as often as the melee class people who can do it at will. They can do it anytime they want, 1 time per turn, if I'm not mistaken. Let's verify that real quick. Let's go back real quick, make sure we don't say anything wrong. Is it saying anything about a cooldown on this? No. So this is a general feat, it's an action. So if you've got, it's all the way at the top here, not there. Yeah, there we go. Here we go. So you raise shield as an action, not shield block. Shield blocks are a reaction that happens after you said, I raise my shield to defend myself. Sorry, I want to make sure I got that correctly. So casters, if they're really smart and they really need to run their front lines at high level and do something really amazing and powerful, they can kind of chance their arm and get in there and go wham and do some awesome spell or really save the day. And then at their last act, cast a 2-action spell and then go, I'm going to put shield on because I know these guys are going to collapse on me, or the guys that are going to resist my previous spell. They're coming for me now. I'm going to put my shield on because I'm in the middle of the pack and these guys are going to run up to me and do 3 attacks on me. 4 guys times 3 attacks is 12 attacks. They're going to rip me open. So you need to protect yourself a little bit. It protects you from magic missile, I believe, and also regular attacks, melee attacks, and ranged attacks. So once again, what's the trick here? Well, the Druid doesn't get it. Now you said earlier, yes, I said earlier, the Rogue gets it. Well, there's a feat, a level 2 feat. You've dabbled in a variety of tricks, gaining minor magical abilities from a particular tradition. Choose Arcane, Divine, Occult, or Primal Magic. So I've highlighted the one that doesn't ever get the cantrip for shield in red. It doesn't mean it's bad. It just helps us differentiate one from the other, right? Dead guys are red. Guys that are turned over are not red. So we're just trying to differentiate between the two. I'm not saying it's bad. Primal Magic is cool. So, and gain 2 cantrips from the common cantrips available to that tradition. So if you pick up this feat as a rogue, you get to pick up 2 cantrips from Arcane, Divine, or Occult. Therefore, you can pick up shield. So that's pretty interesting, right? So you could go into combat, jump on someone from behind, flank, find yourself like, oh, you didn't kill the guy, didn't do a ton of damage, I've missed terribly, I'm off balance, someone else had knocked me down, I'm prone, I'm getting back up my next turn, I'm going to cast my cantrip shield. It's probably done the same way as the other casters. You're going to have this 10-minute cooldown if you use a shield block. You can cast a spell. I think it will last indefinitely until it gets used. Let's just double check that, right? Those are kind of handy to use. While it's in effect, you can use the shield block reaction or magic shield. See the sidebar? After you use the shield block. So if you don't use the shield block, it's just like floating around with you. So you can cast this on yourself. It doesn't say a duration. I need to figure that out. Cast this shield spell on yourself as a rogue. Run into battle with a shield glowing around you because you don't have to hold your hand to do it. Start dual wielding and destroying things, and have someone turn around and take a swing at you, and you go ching. Now, it doesn't make you immune. Obviously, it's not going to go ching. It might make some other cool sound effect, but it's going to help protect you. That's really interesting. This is going to put a melee bloodbath, middle of the fray, protect yourself from being melee trained type of thinking. And if you look at the sorcerer, all the bloodlines, I probably pronounced this wrong, aberrant gets occult, angelic gets divine, demonic gets divine. They should make a counter divine. Diabolic gets divine, draconic gets arcane shield for free. So they don't even need to spend a cantrip slot. They get it for free. So if you want to play a sorcerer, it's an interesting idea. You can be draconic sorcerer. There's probably pluses and minuses to it, but you're going to get shield for free because dragon scales and things like that. It's an interesting idea. If you're elemental, you only get access to primal. If you're playing a fey bloodline for a sorcerer, only access to primal. So you won't get access to that spell if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you play the hag or imperial or undead, you get occult, arcane, and divine in that order. So in summary, if you want the cantrip shield, make sure you have arcane, divine, and occult. It's not that hard to remember it. took me 2 hours of reading the book, though, to try to pick it apart. So hopefully the video will help you understand that a little bit better and it makes sense to you. All right, let's get to some of the meat of the conversation. Our last page, we're almost done. I know we've been running for 34 minutes here. So what I like to do is I like to listen to people who know more about stuff than me, and I want to share what they've said, and I give them credit for what they said. And I think this is something I really want people to embrace with this game, is when complex games like Squad Leader, Bolt Action, Hail Caesar, some of the war games I played a long time ago, you always find these people that know all the rules and they never share the information with anyone, and they just, oh, I'm sorry, you can't do that in Warhammer 40k because of this. And you're there in the battle, and you're doing the cool battle, and you try to do the sneak thing, and for the last 14 years you've been doing it this way, and then someone says, that's not true, you don't get that. And it just feels like antagonistic wankerisms. Now that must be a feat. What I'd like to see happen, I'm not trying to control it, what I'd like to see happen is like share information, share the knowledge. We can all have much more fun. You know, when people start figuring out these kinds of things, I like the attitude that's coming from the Pathfinder 2nd edition community. A lot of smart people, really good. Let's look at some smart people comments, right? This is on a comment on one of my YouTube videos called Reverse Engineering Valeris from earlier this week. We had a user, just the initials YG, that said, hey, listen, you know, the shield blocks damage equal to the hardness. The rest goes to your shield, like I said earlier. So I didn't know that until this person taught me this. So thank you for teaching me this. You're awesome. The attack's the example. They gave an example. The attack does 5 damage, but you block with a shield. It has a hardness of 3, 12 hit points, and BT 6. That means both you and the shield would take 2 damage, right? Because the shield's hardness value is 3. So the 5 damage minus 3 for the hardness equals 2 damage done to both you and your shield because it exceeded the hardness value. So think of it as a pool. I think it was a bottle that can only hold 3 liters of liquid in it. And you pour 5 liters into it, 2 liters are going to pour off of it. Well, not only is the bottle now taking damage from being overloaded, everything around it's going to get wet as well. So another guy, Michael Kuna, I can't pronounce that probably correctly. Looks like a German name. Very interesting last name, or Swedish. Also note you can actually do damage to an item if you critically fail when attempting to repair a broken item. I don't think you can repair a destroyed item. I think that's true. I think I double checked that earlier, and the section says if it's destroyed, it's destroyed. But if it's damaged and broken and meet that broken threshold, you can use the mending spell to restore non-magical items by 5 hit points per spell level. So it'd be very interesting to see if you have the mending spell, can you use that to help out people in your party who are using physical objects? That's teamwork. I hate to keep referring to EverQuest 1, but that's what we need more of. And we don't want to make the game EverQuest 1. Now, that's Daiku mud with graphics that are bad. But that's very cool. Thank you so much, YG and Michael, for those cool comments on my video. I appreciate that. Shield block hardness versus attack, and the minus 10 multiple attack penalty versus runaway. So this is a really interesting, slightly heated, but not rude conversation happened in the Facebook group. I really liked it. The original question comes from Chris Randall on August the 5th at 1:58 p.m. The scene of the crime. His question was, using a buckler with 3 hardness and 6 hit points, if you shield block as a reaction to an attack that does 10 damage, does it destroy your shield and you take 7? Or do you only take 1 damage? Or can you choose to deflect only 3 damage and take 7, preventing your shield from breaking? Really, really good question. And one thing he did is he put a picture. Anytime you have a posting, you want to ask a cool question, put a cool picture in there. People will click on cool pictures in a heartbeat. Then they might read what you're asking. And he got a lot of replies. And there was 2 guys in here who provided, 2 or 3 guys who provided some really smart answers. I just want to quote a couple of them. The very first answer comes from Eric Roy. He said, you would take 7 damage and the shield would gain the broken condition. Boom. Man, I wish I could be that concise. My whole life would be different. I could be as concise as Eric. Nice answer, dude. 3 damage is negated by hardness. The shield takes 7, and you take 7. Bucklers aren't for blocking. Look at the steel shield instead. That's from Nathan Fish. Nathan Fish has a lot of good comments. Very smart in that group as well. So we started talking about that, and I started lurking and watching, and I made a few comments because I don't want to jump into the fray when I didn't know it yet. I was still teaching myself stuff. I don't want to just blather a bunch of junk I didn't know about. But here's where I learned some really cool details. People started talking about it from a tactical perspective, and Brendan J.J. Walsh has a lot of really smart comments, and so did Nathan Fish. And I want to quote these guys. Now, if you guys don't like the fact that I cited you on the internet and you posted something in a Facebook group, you let me know, and I'll never mention your game ever again. So I'm going to take a chance on something and share this because I think it helps other players, and anyone can probably join that Facebook group anyway. So it's not like you've got some kind of private email you sent just to me that I'm stealing from you. And I'm not taking credit for what you said. I'm showcasing your intelligence here. So be happy, right? If you don't like it, let me know. I'll never cite you ever again. But if you say smart things, I might cite you. That's because the book only gives us so much. All right, so people are talking about, well, what's the point of this? You're going to raise your shield, it's just going to get broken, it's going to be useless. That was kind of the general tone of some of the questions of some of the guys that were kind of upset about it. They thought it was useless. They said, this shield block reaction, this is useless. Well, this is what Brendan said I thought was really good. You're giving up your minus 10 MAP to run away. Like they said, well, I just run away. And running away is better. I can move a lot further. I can move 25 feet in one action, right? Just means it means the enemy gives up its minus 10, right, MAP, to chase you, or even worse, your non-tanky friend, if the monster happens to have an attack opportunity option, forget it, you just made a huge mistake. The +2 to AC and the option to block 5 damage much better, especially compared to the chance of -1 attack. That's a no-brainer. Yeah, I think that was a really, really good answer. Another answer he said a little bit further on, it's not that hard to realize that +2 AC and blocking 5 damage is better than attack at -10 to hit. Once you hit level 4, you can get your first sturdy shield, which is hardness 8 and 64 hit points, and then you're basically set forever in the shield department. You just keep getting the next sturdy shield or adamantite shield to get indestructible shield. That almost sounds like Diablo 3. Very interesting to see that that's possible. I'll keep my eyes peeled for that kind of gear. Like I said, I haven't seen that stuff in the game yet because I haven't been leveling any characters. I'm still teaching myself the rules. I thought that was very, very interesting. Very cool comment. It's neat to see that sturdy shield has a hardness of 8. That's a lot of damage mitigation. A lot of dagger damage and little junk damage is not going to get past that shield. And 64 hit points is a lot for it to get destroyed. He's not talking about the BT, he's talking about the hit points. So, and then Nathan also made a couple comments here too. I want to cite him as well. The action would often be in place of an attack at -10, so it's not that big of a deal. Alternatively, you can take Reactive Shield and only spend a reaction when hit. So the Reactive Shield is only being used when something hits you. So you can raise your shield, you can snap your shield into place as if you would take a blow, avoiding the hit at the last second. You immediately use raise shield action and gain your shield's bonus to armor class. The circumstance bonus from the shield applies to you AC when you're determining the outcome of the triggered attack. So it's kind of like, this is a fighter feat here, the one I pasted. That one's really nice. I think that's fantastic. You can say you raise your shield, but if someone attacks you, it doesn't actually get triggered or used until someone actually tries to nail you. So if you want to be using shield block, get a shield steel, a steel shield. That's me mispronouncing words again. Hardness 5, hit points 20, BT 10. So if you want shield block, means I raise my shield and I'm going to use shield block. If you use reactive shield, it's only going to happen when an enemy hits you. So this means that as a fighter, I'm so good at fighting, I'm running around, I'm not calling out that I'm raising my shield. If someone takes a swipe at me, I react and raise my shield. So that is much, much more appropriate for a fighter. I bet the champion gets the same thing. So let me say that one more time, okay? You're a fighter and you got a shield on. You're running around nailing stuff and destroying things or trying not to get destroyed. You have not said, I raise my shield, right? Someone takes a swing at you. Your reaction is your reactive shield. It's a reaction. It can happen when it's not your turn. If someone's taking a swing at you, it's not your turn. So therefore, this is really, really cool. So it basically allows you to do some damage mitigation. So as long as the damage isn't too high, you should probably be okay. If you want to be using shield block, get a steel shield. So if you want to run into combat and you don't have reactive shield, like you're using the grab one, whichever the other one is, what is the other one called? We just talked about the other day with Valeros. What did he have? He had, where is his little attack thing? Double slice. Now he picked up reactive shield as well, but he had double slice. So say you didn't pick up reactive shield and you just picked double slice up and you didn't have that extra class feat in there. So he's just using shield block. Waiting into combat, 1 attack, 2 attack, shield block. And shield's going to get banged and beat up, so he needs to have a really good shield. So if you want to be using shield block, get a steel shield, hardness 5, hit points 20, BT 10. The same 10 damage hit results in 5 damage to the shield and 5 to you. The shield could do twice before it needs repairing. So repairing a shield between combat, wow, you never thought that was going to happen, did you? So I don't know, I think it's cool. And this just means we're done talking about it. Sorry it's a long video, but this is really cool. I think it's really exciting. There's a lot of neat information here. So let's just do a super fast summary, right? I should do these more. Right, so raise a shield is an action. You got to say you're going to do raise a shield. If you do that, you're using something called shield block. Okay? Shields have different hardness, which is part of the mitigation number, and they have hit points before they get damaged and destroyed or broken. Right? So you can look that up yourself. Item damage, there's rules on that if you want to figure that out. It basically defines when you can break something and when you can't break something. It's not that big of a deal. Like this guy's shield in his back is probably damaged, but it hasn't reached the damage threshold yet. If it gets broken, it doesn't work anymore. It still gives you some AC aspects, but not as good. The shield block is used for the champion, cleric, druid, and fighter, not the reactive shield block. Okay? So cleric only when you're using the Warpriest doctrine, which is kind of like a subclass. Fighter and the champion get tons of active feats they can do. If you're a caster, the spell shield is different now. It acts as if you do a raise a shield, not reactive shield. Okay? So you have to say you cast the shield, and then you are standing there, I guess, and you have the magical shield up. Now, I was saying earlier that you could run around with the shield on and you wouldn't do anything. It sounds to me like it acts as a raise a shield without you having to say, I raise a shield. So it's kind of like a reactive shield. Does that make sense? Let me say that one more time, make sure I got it perfectly right here. Here's a question maybe you guys can answer. If you made it this far, you need a blue Peter badge, right? If you're a caster, anyone in blue here, right, and you picked up that cantrip, and you cast shield on yourself, and you can only do it once every 10 minutes, and a fight's about to start, and you know you're going to walk in there, or someone's going to run up and hit you. If you cast shield on yourself, it's going to stay up on you forever until someone takes a swipe at you. Once someone takes a swipe at you, then you use the shield block, okay, action, not, so then you start taking into consideration what's going on with it. Does that make sense? Or does it mean that you have to say, I cast shield on myself? It's a verbal component. You just say it. You don't have to do anything with your incantation. Let's read the spell one more time. You raise a magical shield of force. This counts as using a raise the shield action. Give you +1 to circumstance bonus to AC until the start of your next turn, but it doesn't require a hand to use. Okay, that's wrong. I was wrong. I correct myself in the video. Isn't that awesome? So it's basically substituting the I raise my shield until it's your turn again. So when it's your turn again, it goes away. You don't get it. You don't get to run around, like I said earlier, like the rogue with minor magic feat 2 and cast shield on yourself and dive into the pack thinking you got this free cool magic mitigation at a hardness of 25 or something like that. All right, cool. We're not all perfect. I'm still learning. But hey, I hope you things are cool and you like them. And obviously the comments by other people are smart. Read some of the conversations. Learn what you can. Share what you can. And if you like these kind of videos, let me know. I try to tone down the background sound so everyone doesn't feel like they have to go to the bathroom all the time. And yeah, let me know. Let me have a comment if you want to know what you want to hear. I'm trying to compile this stuff together. Eventually, I'll probably just put a set of PDFs so you can download this kind of junk. All right, cool. I'm going to leave it at that and have fun. Thanks for popping by. And, let your friends know about the channel and let your friends know about the website and all that kind of business. And hopefully all together we can share and learn the game and start having a lot of fun. I can't wait to play. It's going to be so cool. Talk to you later. See you.